4 years after the coup d'etat that made Napoleon the head of France, his power had become nearly absolute. On August 2, 1802, he was declared first consul for life. Napoleon was granted the right to appoint the second and third consuls, to make treaties of war and peace, and to suspend the constitution. His birthday was declared a national holiday. From 1803 onward, French coins bore the proud profile of the first consul. By 1804, only the name of the republic remained, and it was easily changed when the first consul was proclaimed emperor. As one contemporary noted, it was clear even to the least perceptive that the first consul's power lacked only an official title, and that his actions revealed long-standing ambitions far beyond a lifetime consulship. However, Napoleon's ambition was not the only reason for the republic's end. Many French citizens feared the Bourbons might be restored to the throne. The new wealthy class was afraid of losing the property they had acquired during the Revolution, while peasants feared they would have to give up lands purchased from émigrés. Only by establishing a hereditary monarchy could the hopes of the old regime's supporters be permanently extinguished. On May 18, 1804, a decree was issued by the first consul declaring Napoleon Bonaparte Emperor of the French, and the imperial title was made hereditary. On December 2nd of the same year, a coronation was held in the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris. Although by tradition the Pope was to crown the emperor, Napoleon seized the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it on his own head, symbolizing that he owed his crown to no one but himself. In May 1805 in Milan, he crowned himself King of Italy with the Iron Crown once worn by Charlemagne. Napoleon believed this crown was given to him by God. For a short time, France was still called a republic and Napoleon an emperor of the republic, but soon the country came to be known as an empire. Historians regard this period as a bourgeois monarchy. The new emperor sought to rival the grandeur of other European monarchs. He established a lavish court, developed a system of ceremonies, and reinstated etiquette reminiscent of the Bourbon kings. He founded the Legion of Honor, membership in which was reserved for those with notable service to the emperor. A new aristocracy emerged, along with new ranks and titles. Yet Napoleon's new title did not change the nature of his rule. He had already exercised full control as first consul. He continued the reforms he had begun earlier and acted in line with his established principles. As before, he aimed to unite as many social groups as possible. Having earned the trust of the wealthy, he now turned his attention to the poor. "I can deceive a politician or a soldier, but not a housewife who shops at the market every day," he said. Napoleon had little regard for the bourgeoisie, believing that entrepreneurs had neither faith nor a true homeland. Still, he actively supported industry, introducing laws that protected French manufacturers from foreign, and especially British, competition. Successful entrepreneurs were rewarded with noble titles and the Legion of Honor. At the same time, limitations remained. Workers' unions and strikes were banned, and the government introduced worker booklets to control labor. These documents recorded an employee's character and reasons for leaving previous jobs, making it difficult for troublemakers to find new work. To finance industry, Napoleon founded the Bank of France, which would outlive him by a century. In 1810, a government council for trade and manufacturing was established to oversee economic development. It was during the empire that France experienced the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution and laid the foundation for 19th century economic growth. In 1804, the Civil Code, later called the Napoleonic Code, came into force. Under Napoleon's personal direction, 4 of France's top jurists compiled all existing laws, decrees, and customs into a unified code. It contained 2,181 articles covering civil, family, labor, and other areas of law. The code abolished feudal privileges and legally established equality before the law, freedom of conscience, personal inviolability, and the sacred right to private property. However, it also contained explicit deviations from the principle of equality. It codified the inequality between employers and workers and placed women in an inferior position in family and property matters. Their participation in public life was significantly limited. Supplemented by the Commercial Code of 1808 and the Penal Code of 1811, the Civil Code enshrined the core principles of a democratic society. Years later, on the island of St. Helena, Napoleon said, "My true glory is not in having won 40 battles, Waterloo will erase the memory of those, but what will live forever is my civil code. The code became a model for legislation in many other European countries. Napoleon never forgot that he seized power with the support of the army during the coup of 18 Brumaire, and he continued to regard it as his main pillar. It was led by marshals and generals who had risen through the ranks thanks to their talents. The Napoleonic army was free from pointless drill and rigid discipline. Most importantly, there were no barriers between officers and soldiers. A peasant's son, like a noble from an ancient lineage, could rise to the highest ranks. As philosopher Heinrich Heine wrote, Napoleon strongly upheld the principle of equal opportunity. In 1804, he called the army he created the Grand Army.